What's going on, everybody? It's Afro Think Tank. So Americans throughout the Middle East are stuck in the Middle East and can't get home because all flights have been canceled because of Donald Trump's illegal war in Iran. Now, despite the ones stuck in the UAE, the ones stuck in Dubai, you already know how I feel about them. They should have never went to that slave country anyway. But there's many other Arab countries that Americans were working in, vacationing, they live in, part-time and whatnot. They can't get out of the way. And America has not sent planes to get them out of the way, right? So now they're stuck getting bombed on. They're stuck in the middle of a war they had nothing to do with. Because Donald Trump and his right-wing, racist, neo-Nazi administration didn't take any pre-steps to secure Americans or notify them that he was going to do such a thing. Now, Donald Trump is saying now that the reason why he did it is because he thought that we were going to get attacked. Does he think that we're stupid? Are we not tired of these politicians insulting our intelligence? Since 1970, the Republicans have been trying to attack Iran. The Jews, right? The ones that live in Israel, all right, the white European politicians that call themselves Jews, they've been trying to attack Iran since the 70s. Everybody knows it. It's just that no president, neither Republican for the most part or the Democrat, was crazy enough to actually do it because it serves us. It doesn't serve us at all. It serves us nothing. All right. And come to find out that the reason why Donald Trump really did it is because Benjamin Netanyahu, the war criminal, right, the genocidal maniac criminal, told Trump, we're going to do it and you're going to get involved anyway, so you better get down or lay down. So basically America, big bad America, with big bad white supremacy goddamn president and goddamn administration, got punked and bitched by Israel, a country that lives off American taxpayers' welfare. It's a welfare state. If American our taxpayers were not funding Israel, Israel would cease to exist. But because our taxpayer money is going to subsidize Israel's genocidal maniac ideology around the Middle East, we are pulled into a war that we have nothing to really do with. We have no interest to destroy the Persians. Now, I want you to understand the Persians are not Arab. All right? I know a lot of you guys call them all Arab. Don't call Persians Arabs. All right, you got the Arabs, you know what Arabs are, and you got Persians. Persians are different. Don't call Persians Arabs. Iranians are Persians, okay? Us black folks ain't never had no problem with the damn Persians. Well, not in modern history, at least. Maybe ancient history, they tried to give it a go, and then us Africans let them know what's up, and then it never happened. All right? But other than that, we don't have no problem with the Persians. It's them white folks that seem to deem everybody who's not white, Christian, as the enemy, as savage barbarians that need to be dominated, right? So now that we have, in all points of power at this moment, we have a bunch of white supremacists, neo-Nazis who have there's no recourse for being held accountable because they're all in charge. They're all in charge. All the criminals are in charge of every apparatus that could even hold them accountable. So because of America's ineptness, because of white women, all right, not voting for the black woman, because of racism, because of white men not voting for the black woman because of racism and sexism, because of piece of shit ass Republican black dudes not voting for the black woman because they couldn't get no pussy when they was in high school and they can't get the girl that they want off the videos. All right, because of that, all this shit is happening. Elections have consequences. This is all on your head. So now Americans are in danger in the Middle East, everywhere. And while all the other countries are gathering their citizens or sending planes, Donald Trump couldn't think to do that for his own people. Because he was too busy scared of what Benjamin Netanyahu gonna do. And have anybody noticed, while this shit is going on, even more Epstein files has been released, where a woman testified in 2019 that Donald Trump ordered a 14-year-old to his place and made her suck his. And then he beat her after she bit his. I told y'all before. I told y'all. I said this war is going to happen when the Epstein files drop. All this shit is happening because Donald Trump don't want the entire news network all over the world to talk about the 14-year-old he had sucking his fucking... So everybody got to die so Donald Trump, the white supremacist neo-Nazi, don't get held accountable. Everybody got to die so the rest of them old white rich geezers don't got to be held accountable. Think about this shit. Everybody has to suffer. Everybody has to be terrorized so that a bunch of rich white men don't get held accountable for playing with little kids. At the end of the day, that's what this shit's all about. And so Benjamin Netanyahu can make greater Israel. Oh, do you realize that Israel is a safe haven for PDF files? Did you know that if you're a PDF file, there's a program? Listen, there's a program where you can go get deported to Israel, especially if you're a white person. It's all, I'm telling you, all this shit's on the news. You can look this shit up. Look this shit up. Israel is a safe haven for PDF files. They don't get charged in America. They just get sit on a plane and they get to go live in Israel. There's a documentary about this shit. Look this shit up. This shit is disgusting. Anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment sections. Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Hundreds of thousands of stranded passengers and workers are just trying to leave the Middle East after airlines canceled flights throughout the region. Countries including France, Spain, and the UK organized flights for its citizens from Israel, Oman, and the UAE. Passengers from Abu Dhabi arriving in Heathrow described hearing explosions and military jets. And there were happy reunions in Taiwan when the first direct flight from Dubai landed. Flight Radar 24 shows a massive drop in air traffic over Dubai there. Take a look at that. Last week, there were about 1,200 daily flights. Now, there are less than 100 each day. And many Americans are now trying to evacuate the Middle East as well after the State Department issued a warning to depart now. CBS News foreign correspondent Raymond Inocencio spoke with Trent Burns, who's a Florida man who's stuck in Qatar.
Not only can I not go home, but safety is, nowhere near guaranteed.
Can you walk me through what's been happening?
The majority of it's been happening at night. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, wake you up out of a sleep. Everybody goes outside to take a look at what it was. And then they come on with announcements, go back inside, shelter in place, that type of thing.
We saw on Facebook that you wrote, "I have contacted every number I can find and have received zero help." Tell me about that.
The U.S. government has been absolutely disappointing in this situation. We were registered with the embassy before we even got here, and we knew about nothing happening until a missile was actually intercepted not far from where we were working. But as I'm contacting the U.S. embassy, the first time I called, I got a recorded line saying that we're closed today. So then I started going through the contact this, contact that. They led me to a 202 number, call for help with evacuations. And the guy basically said, make your way to Saudi.
Just get there. Just however you can, just get there.
Just get there. And he essentially said, well, the government's not assisting.
How does this make you feel?
It's really disappointing. We put a lot of faith into our government system, and to be put into a situation like this where they basically go, you're on your own, is just, like I said, it's really just disappointing is probably the best word.
If you had a message for the elected leaders in Washington, for President Trump?
That hasty decisions put American lives at risk.
I want to bring in CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis. Olivia, what is the State Department saying now about getting Americans out? Essentially, earlier this week, they were on their own.
Absolutely. It has definitely taken a few days to start getting any sort of consistent information from the State Departments. Those updates are now coming with a bit more frequency and detail As of today, the department says it's helped roughly 6,500 Americans in departing the Middle East, whether by providing them guidance and information, as you heard, or in arranging transportation to the commercial flight options that are still operating out of the region. That's included overland routes and charter bus services to the areas where airspace is still open. Officials have not yet publicly confirmed whether military aircraft or charter flights have been leaving, but they keep saying they're working on it. This afternoon, the department began circulating a new crisis intake form tailored specifically for Americans who are looking to depart from four areas: the UAE, Qatar, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. It is separate from the phone hotline and the enrollment in the STEP program, which officials continue to urge citizens to use, but it's a separate form. And it's important to note that for now, these assisted departures may only be limited to U.S. citizens. State officials have acknowledged scenarios including non-American family members and dependents are complex, and they're still working through those scenarios in terms of eligibility.
And Olivia, President Trump was asked why there wasn't an evacuation plan in place. What did he have to say?
That's right. And this question has arisen, Liz, because of how foreseeable the effects of a conflict, given the vast military buildup in the region, the more recent messaging on diplomatic talk stalling would have on Americans in the Middle East. Here's what the president said when he was asked about it.
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought, and I thought maybe more so than most, I could ask Marco, but I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked.
Right. And so we've been pressing State Department officials on this very same point. If there was a clear possibility, even a likelihood of regional conflict that was going to shut down airspace and trigger major travel disruptions, why weren't more visible steps being taken to prepare for this scenario that we now see playing out? Those officials have pushed back on the notion that they weren't prepared or preparing. One senior official told us today, this is not our first rodeo, arguing that the department had managed these very complex evacuations and crisis responses before, but saying every situation is unique and contingency plans are constantly being put in place to help Americans who might need help. They have also denied, because we've asked them, that prior downsizing at the State Department has had a negative effect on these efforts, Liz. But for a lot of Americans still stuck there, it's hard to see.
Absolutely. It has to be so frustrating. You're just trying to get out of this very dangerous situation. Olivia Gazis, thank you so much. All right, sticking to Wall Street now, where stocks climbed higher after a roller coaster week. The Dow actually ticked up 238 points despite worries over the economic impacts of this war with Iran weighing on the market earlier in the week. Now, when it comes to fuel, prices at the pump keep climbing. Today's national average gas price is 9 cents higher than yesterday's. AAA says that marks the largest daily jump since March of 2022 during the start of the war in Ukraine. So I want to bring in Constance Hunter, the chief economist of the Economist Intelligence Unit, to talk more about the impacts of this war with Iran. Constance, great to be with you. It's worth noting there is no light between the U.S. and Israel in this conflict, much of it rooted with Israel's interests. What is the probability that the Iranian government changes in a way after all of this in terms of leadership that is acceptable to Israel?
Well, as everyone knows, Iran has a stated goal of destroying Israel, right? So I think Israel's first and foremost requirement is that it has a government that's stated objective is not to destroy the state of Israel. Now, what that government looks like is anybody's question. We have done extensive scenario planning at EIU with regard to what the future could look like in Iran. And of course, Iran had been planning for succession because of the Ayatollah's advanced age. And because, of course, you know, there is this ongoing tension between Israel and Iran. And so they obviously had in place a succession plan to replace the Ayatollah. That is possibly still underway, although we, the U.S. and Israel, have been targeting leaders in the Iranian government. And then another scenario that could unfold is the Revolutionary Guard taking over, and it would be a military dictatorship similar to Pakistan. Another possibility, of course, is that you have infighting. You have the Kurds as one faction, and you could have significant infighting in Iran that would put it in a state more like Syria after or during its civil war.
talk a bit about sanctions. It's important to note that there's a whole economy that members of Iran's leadership profit from that is a direct result of there being sanctions against their country. Can you explain how does that align with the president's said objectives for what he says are the goals for this war?
Yes, well, one of the objectives he laid out was he urged the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard to lay down their arms and for the people of Iran to take over their government. Now, in the course of doing that, he suggested that we would give immunity to people who approached the U.S. and were willing to lay down arms. But it's very unlikely that large members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard would do that simply because they are the ones who are profiting off of all of the illegal oil trafficking that occurs as a result of sanctions.
So how do Russia and China factor into all of this? How do the actions in Iran send a message to those countries, especially since the U.S., for example, is trying to help broker a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine? How are they looking at this conflict?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Trump wants to go from having a moniker of taco to a moniker of FAFO, right? So I can't probably say that acronym on television, but I think everybody knows what it means. And the thing is, if you ask administration officials, and Elbridge Colby, who's an undersecretary at the Department of War, spoke to the Council on Foreign Relations today, and he was asked this question directly, and he said, well, any messaging or communication to Russia and China is tangential. It's not the primary objective. Nevertheless, China does get its oil from Iran. Now, we believe they have about 120 days of strategic petroleum reserve. However, they don't want to dip into this. This makes it difficult for them. Russia and Iran are close allies. Russia, China, and Iran are all members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So there are significant alliances there. And what we notice is that while China and Russia have condemned the attacks, they have not overtly come to the aid of Iran, whereas other governments have come to the aid of the U.S. in this situation.
Constance Hunter, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, folks, Donald Trump's week just got even worse because his Epstein nightmare, some of these documents that he was very deliberately covering up and not releasing to the American people, have now been leaked, have now been released by the DOJ as part of the Epstein files, and they include some very serious accusations against Donald Trump. And we're going to break it down. I'm going to show you these new documents. I have them. I've read them. They are stomach-churningly gross. So I warn you, but I think it's something that every American should see. So let's just get right into the story. Let's not waste any more time. The other day on the show, we talked about how there are over 47,000 Epstein files offline for review. That's according to the Department of Justice. And part of these documents that are offline are some interviews with a woman who accused Donald Trump of assaulting her when she was between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. Her accusation is in the Epstein files. We know what she accused Donald Trump of, but the FBI interviews with this woman, who was a girl when the assault happened, were not completely released. We had one of four. The three left were missing, not released in the Epstein files. The withheld files included FBI interview notes documenting a series of interviews the woman gave to agents in 2019 in which she alleged this misconduct by Trump and Epstein when she was a minor in the 1980s. So we hadn't seen these interviews, and people were asking, well, where the hell are they? These documents, these interviews probably would have stayed completely secret and covered up if not for the work of journalists like Roger Sollenberger, who we talked about on the show, who really dug into it and found out that these interviews were missing. Now, as I mentioned, the documents are out. The Department of Justice just posted online 3 FBI interviews that had been missing from the massive trove of Epstein files initially released. They related to unsubstantiated assault allegations against Donald Trump. Now, this is a woman who Roger Sollenberger reported has been deemed credible by the FBI, a credible accuser. But of course, these specific allegations have not been proven against Donald Trump in a court of law. So there's that. But they are very serious allegations. And I want to get into them with you right now. And again, not really waste any more time here. It's that important. It's vital stuff. So this girl in one of these interviews that was conducted in August of 2019 recalled at least one incident in which Epstein took her off the island. I suppose that probably means Epstein Island, when she was between 13 and 15 years old. He drove her and or flew her to either New York or New Jersey. She was then introduced to someone with money, and she identified the person as Donald Trump, saying it was Trump. Blank and Epstein, blank, I believe the redacted name are her initials, so I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure, though, of course. Were with others to include Trump in a very tall building with huge rooms. Trump did not like this individual from the get-go. He didn't like that I was a boy-girl, and what she means is a tomboy. Blank could not recall the identities of the other individuals present. However, they all exited when Trump asked everyone to leave the room. Trump mentioned something to the effect of, quote, "Let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be." Ugh. I mean, that sends like shivers down your spine. You know what I mean? This is nasty stuff. Yeah, wow. He then, according to this girl, unzipped his pants and put her head down to his area, putting it mildly, and she said she bit him, and that Trump struck her after she bit him, his area, and said words to the effect of, "Get this little bee the hell out of here." Blank advised she bit Trump's area because he disgusted her. She said, quote, "He had money. It reeked off of him." At that point, people re-entered the room and no further information was provided. So we've known about this allegation. It was included in that slideshow that the DOJ had put together of allegations against wealthy, powerful men that they had as part of the Epstein files. But this is a much deeper look into these allegations. It gives some background on where it happened, where it was, the exact wording of what Trump said, what she said, and things like that. So some serious stuff. She also said that she got the feeling the relationship between Trump and Epstein included a certain amount of jealousy, which has actually been talked about before. There have been other women who knew Epstein at the time, or just people in that sphere, or journalists who have dug into this, who said that there was this element of jealousy between Trump and Epstein. They both were somewhat jealous of each other. Epstein jealous of like Trump's, New York City properties, Trump jealous of Epstein's connections. This is actually something that has been reported on. But anyway, she got the feeling that the relationship between Trump and Epstein included a certain amount of jealousy. She thought Trump appeared jealous of Epstein, but at some point, they ended up on a level playing field. Trump and Epstein, and this is where it gets gross again, sometimes use the terms fresh meat, untainted, and not jaded while referring to girls. She stated she had two additional interactions with Trump, but asked that the interview move on to a different subject for the time being. And in this interview, I read all of these documents. She actually seems kind of reluctant to talk about Trump, not because she doesn't have information on him or anything like that, but she feels kind of hopeless. She said, like, what's the point of providing information if nothing's going to be done about it, according to these FBI agents, according to these notes? And of course, he was president at the time. This was 2019. And so she felt, at least how I'm reading it, this is not her words, how I'm reading it, is that there might be some form of retribution, that if she mentioned Donald Trump's name to the FBI that Donald Trump was controlling at the time, that her life would be basically ruined.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of Americans have used this loophole.
So, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called Law of Return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles. So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here. And a lot of memories coming through my mind.
Memories of his alleged abuser, Mordechai Yom Tov, who taught him Hebrew studies when he was just 8 years old.
So in the beginning, he would just rub me like outside of my pants, and then I would say about 3 to 4 months later, he started going like in.
Reaching down your pants?
Yeah, it's reaching down.
Why did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me with the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to, let's see, 20 months out of this sort of thing. I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. I left within a week later.
He had this message for his victims.
I'm very, very sorry.
The other person in this video is Meir Seawald, the founder of Jewish Community Watch. He tells CBS News Yom Tov's case isn't uncommon in the Orthodox community.
The same thing that's going on in the Catholic Church right now around the world, the exact same thing happens in our community. The rabbis say it's, you know what, he promised he's going to go for therapy, he's never going to do it again. Boom, he's in another community. A few years later, he's at the same thing, and we hear more allegations that the person continued to abuse children.
And often, those abusers end up in Israel. Rabbi Yehuda Oppenheimer says he unwittingly helped Caro escape. There was nothing that raised any red flags up to the point where he was moving to Israel.
Well, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't say that. So he had violated his parole, and now they were looking for him. He said that there was something in the past that had happened when he was young, but nothing had ever happened since. I've changed and I'm a different person now, but you gotta help me. I felt that I could trust him. So I wrote him a letter, and he bought a ticket, and he left.
Caro is accused of abusing more children when he got to Israel. What was that like for you when you found that out?
Punch to the gut. It was very painful.
Rabbi Oppenheimer says the reason he came forward is to shine a light on the process of accused pedophiles fleeing, to help ensure it doesn't happen again. Back at the stakeout, an ambulance pulls up and a man steps out. It's Caro.
That was definitely him. Oh my God. Okay.
The police are called and eventually arrive. His days on the run are over as he's led away. Did you assault the girl in the United States? No. Did you flee Israel because you assaulted the girl in the United States? Have you ever assaulted any girls in Israel? Do you know that you're wanted by Interpol? Yeah. There's relief as police escort him to their car. This marks the end to a months-long manhunt.
Oh my gosh! Can I give you a hug? I have something I need to tell you. Yeah. Okay. We found him, and he was just arrested.
What?
He was just arrested.
Thank you. Wow, oh my gosh.
Amuna, not her real name, is the person on the other end of the line. She was a little girl when Caro entered her life.
I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother was on bed rest. My father's a rabbi, so he wasn't really home. He used to come to our house. We used to play games, and then it became sexual. I'm going to give you a cookie because you do it so nicely. It's all about the cookie. It's all about lying, and it's all about being so evil to a little child. He also threatened me he would kill my parents, he would choke me, he would hurt me, he would kidnap me.
How did that affect you?
A lot. Yeah. It affected my whole life. My whole life is around this sexual abuse and rape. Yeah.
Amuna turned to therapy and art to help deal with the trauma.
This is in my bedroom and my inspiration.
She paints and writes poetry, but she's still angry that it was allowed to happen in the first place. What are your thoughts on him being able to come to Israel and flee the United States?
It brings up a lot of anger and a lot of frustration towards the Israeli system.
Shauna says the failure begins in the U.S. Why would someone want to help one of these pedophiles escape?
Oftentimes there's some sort of community incentive. Either somebody owes them a favor, or someone in the community, let's say an institution, has covered up for them in the past, and they know that if this goes to court, there's a lot of civil liability coming down the line, and it's going to cost a lot of money to a lot of people, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Shauna accuses the Israeli police of not prioritizing accused pedophiles on the run. Why do you have to be the ones that do this?
Because nobody else is. I don't have any better answer than that.
And if you guys weren't doing it?
Then nobody would do it.
Israeli police told CBS News that, quote, the police coordinate closely with the Ministry of Justice and worldwide police organizations in order to find suspects overseas. Today, Caro faces charges in Israel, while back in the United States, the district attorney's office in Clackamas County in Oregon told CBS News they are working with federal authorities to secure his extradition. But Mordechai Yomtov remains at large. The district attorney here in Los Angeles told us they have not requested Yomtov's extradition and that they had no other comment. Jewish Community Watch says that is the problem. If American officials don't try to get accused pedophiles from Israel, then they simply escape justice and leave children at risk.
Now, you might ask why Republicans won't vote to end a war that 60% of Americans oppose. You might ask why Trump even started the war. He hasn't come up with any kind of a coherent explanation so far. That he had a gut feeling that Iran might attack Israel? That's all it takes for Trump to start bombing? But the real reason we're here seems to be Trump's arrogance and his incompetence. We had a nuclear deal with Iran. It was negotiated all the way back when Barack Obama was president. Under it, Iran wasn't building nuclear weapons. Under it, American intelligence agencies said they were certain that even if Iran were to restart its nuclear weapons program, it would take them at least a year to even have nuclear material. Trump tore that deal up. He said it was a terrible deal. He said he'd negotiate a better deal. Well, he didn't. Trump's failure and his need to stop the Epstein scandal headlines that were engulfing him completely led to his first attack on Iran. Remember? The bombing raid that Trump claimed obliterated Iran's nuclear program. It completely destroyed their ability to build weapons. That's what the White House said then, and it insists now, saying anybody who says otherwise is peddling fake news. That was less than a year ago, and it turns out, of course, that Trump was either lying then or he's lying now, because if that program was destroyed less than a year ago, how can it be that Iran was just weeks away from nuclear weapons? Can't be. And though the American public is overwhelmingly against another Trump war, this peace president and his rubber stamps in Congress are refusing to call this one off. We are all paying the price already. Dead soldiers, gas prices up 25 cents this week alone, and this is just the beginning. Thanks, Trump.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.